Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections. I'm your host, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce, Chad Amond. I am delighted to have on the show today two women that are making impact in our community with Our Clubhouse, Westmoreland. Carol Lennon, she is the founding and retired executive director for Our Clubhouse and a volunteer at this point, and Eddy Confer, who is a volunteer as well. Ladies, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Chad.
Carol, let's get a little bit of your background and how you got connected with Our Clubhouse.
Okay, great. My position before I went to Our Clubhouse, I formerly was the Community Relations Director at Mercy Hospital in Pittsburgh. And as you know, hospitals go through a lot of transition and a lot of change, and I was caught up in the change just at the time that Gilda's Club, which is now Our Clubhouse, was looking for an executive director. So I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to transition to Gilda's Club from Mercy Hospital and still stay in Pittsburgh and continue to focus on my volunteer work in the Pittsburgh area while taking on the role of executive director for Our Clubhouse. At that time in 2004, we had no building. Okay. We had actually nothing going on at all. We had the potential site for a building. So when I started in May of 2004, I literally had no office. I worked from my home and met. We had our board meetings at the board president's home. So it was very raw.
Wow.
Very interesting. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm in over my head. But it was probably one of the most challenging, rewarding, and fun times of my life to work with this dedicated group of volunteers who were equally passionate about starting this organization back in 2004. So in September of 2004, we found the building. It was in the Strip District.
That was the Pittsburgh office.
That was the Pittsburgh office
at the time.
So it took about a year and a half, almost 2 years for renovations. We opened there in 2006, and we continued to operate from that clubhouse for quite a few years. And then in 2014, I think it might have been, we met a wonderful woman by the name of Tracy Kaminsky. I went to a fundraiser that she invited me to, which her friends were hosting at Rizzo's Bar in Crabtree. And I went to her fundraiser. There were, 300 people there perhaps. I'm going to let Eddy talk about that. But through that association with this one woman, and when you think you can't make a difference in someone's life, you can. Just this one woman was probably the catalyst, and she was the catalyst that was able to help us get Our Clubhouse Westmoreland opened in Greensburg. And I'm going to let Eddy tell you a little bit about her.
I think that's a good segue. So Eddy, you need to give a little bit of your background and how you got connected with Our Clubhouse. And was it Tracy Kaminsky? We'll give that talk of how she helped make sure that Our Clubhouse started in Westmoreland.
Okay, thanks, Chad. Yes, I actually got involved with the clubhouse in Pittsburgh when I was working in Pittsburgh. Our company made a contact with the clubhouse, well, it was Gilda's Club then, and a bunch of us from the company decided to volunteer. And it was so rewarding. I worked in Pittsburgh, so it was easy to get to the clubhouse after work and to do volunteer activities. And, of course, my husband got involved, and it was just something that we felt was so important. I met Carol and found out she lived in Latrobe, as I do. And one of her dreams was to start a Westmoreland chapter, but it was just something that was on the back burner. And then fast forward, it was actually 2013. My friend, Tracy Kaminsky, Carol mentioned, was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer at age 51. Tracy was an inspiration in every way. She was a triathlete, a marathon runner, a fitness instructor. This diagnosis was devastating. And she said when this happened to her, she had the support of family, but it was her friends who swooped in and supported her, took her to her appointments. What do you need? Helped her with her 11-year-old daughter, whatever she needed. When I took her to the Hillman for one of her treatments, I said, Tracy, if you feel up to it, I want to take you out to Smallman Street to the clubhouse. And she said, what's that? And I started telling her about our clubhouse, took her out there, had her meet some people, showed her around. They talked to her about the programs and what was involved. When we got into the car to go home, Tracy said, Eddy, I want to come here. She says, but it's in Pittsburgh. I can't drive here with everything else. She said, we need this in Westmoreland County. And I said, well, we need to talk to Carol Lennon because she wants it to happen in Westmoreland County. And Tracy just persevered. Carol will tell you she was very gently nudging
Wow.
all along to get the word out and to get people involved. And she said the support she got, everybody deserves that, and she just wanted to see this happen. Sadly, she did not get to be part of the Westmoreland Clubhouse, but she did know about it. We took her there when they were starting to remodel the building where the clubhouse Westmoreland now exists, so she knew it was happening. And her picture hangs there, and a dedication to Tracy.
And she has made a huge impact
She
in
has.
making it happen.
She
Well,
has.
I think that we need to step back for just a second and talk about what our clubhouse does, not just in Pittsburgh, but in Westmoreland County. And I think, it was called Gilda's Club. And I think that was there a woman that was in Saturday Night Live
Yeah, that's right.
that was named after. She
Right.
had Pittsburgh roots. And so to give a little bit of that background and talk about what our clubhouse does now.
Okay. Well, our clubhouse formerly was called Gilda's Club, named in honor of Gilda Radner, who was famous on Saturday Night Live. She was also famous for getting little noogies, and so we used that term a lot for our children's programming in the clubhouse, which we can no longer use. But it was called Gilda's Club. We were the 26th Gilda's Club to open across the United States. And what happened over the course of the year that we opened in 2006 until we get to about 2013, 2012, the organization, the national organization, which was headquartered in New York, was beginning to have some financial issues and some financial concerns. It ended up that they merged with another organization called the Cancer Support Community, and Gilda's Club worldwide went away, and now we were known as Cancer Support Community on a national level, but the clubhouses could continue to keep their name Gilda's Club. As we started to develop this relationship with the national organization in our clubhouse in Pittsburgh, we began to understand that our missions were they were going in different directions. We wanted to stay very focused on providing social and emotional support to our members. And the national organization was becoming much more focused on research, not an area that we really wanted to get into because we were very passionate about the fact that our members had no place to go for emotional and social support. There was plenty of opportunity. We have excellent healthcare facilities in Pittsburgh, wonderful research going on in the country. We wanted to maintain that mission of social and emotional support. So our board made a very important decision in 2014 to change our name and to become an independent organization from the national organization, which meant that we lost the Gilda's Club name.
Okay.
We did not lose the legacy of Gilda, though, because
Right.
Gilda was all about finding humor, having a place where you can walk through the door and just be yourself. So, we have not lost that touch of Gilda. Her picture still hangs in the clubhouse in Pittsburgh. She's still very much a part of why I became involved in the organization and why I believe passionately in this organization.
Carol, you say members. If you're, heaven forbid, you're diagnosed with cancer or a family member is diagnosed with cancer, how do you become a member, or do you have to pay to become a member, or how does that work?
Well, first let's say what our clubhouse is, because it really is a place that provides social and emotional support for anyone affected by cancer, men, women, teens, and children, and their family and friends. Because when you're on the cancer journey, you're on that cancer journey with all those around you. So your family members are equally as impacted by the diagnosis as the person who's being treated. So what happens at our clubhouse is completely free.
Okay.
To be a member of our clubhouse, all you really need to do, you don't need a doctor's referral, you just need to pick up the phone and call the organization or go online and be in contact with someone in the organization, fill out a member form, which is very brief, but it really allows us an opportunity to understand who you are, what your connection to cancer is, and how you've been affected by a cancer diagnosis. And then it helps us help you find a way to navigate the variety of programs that we offer at the clubhouse. They can range anywhere from wellness initiatives such as yoga, Tai Chi, Reiki, to such things as social activities, which are very important in the clubhouse. A lot of things revolve around food. So we do dinners, and we do potluck dinners, and we do a lot of social activities. We have organizations such as the company that Eddy worked for, who bring their employees in and provide a game night, a movie night, and they bring all the fixings for, really fun activities where members come together and they learn from one another how you live with cancer. So it's probably the one place where a person can walk in the door, take a deep breath, take off your wig, and go to your yoga class and not feel uncomfortable. So that's what it's all about.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We're talking with our Clubhouse Westmoreland members, Carol Lennon and Eddy Confer. Eddy, talk about where our clubhouse is located. I mean, some of the listeners, probably they're running up and down Route 30 and they see the sign, but they don't click it.
They might not see the sign.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks for asking that. It is not easy to find, but once you find it, you remember. And I myself, when I first went there, drove by the entrance a couple of times. I don't know the exact route number. It's probably written here, but it is on Route 30 if you're heading toward toward Latrobe from Greensburg. So you'd be heading east. It would be after you pass the Westmoreland Mall, before you get to the Mountain View light. It's on the right-hand side of the road. It's called the Professional Building, and the clubhouse is located in the back, down behind the Professional Building on the bottom floor.
I always think that it's near Dowd's Furniture, not necessarily behind Dowd's Furniture,
right,
but not far from there.
But the entrance is easy to miss. But like I said, once you find it, you found it, and you won't forget. So
what type of activities happen at our clubhouse? I mean, we touched on a few of them, but maybe Carol, you can walk us through what are the activities that occur.
Sure. In addition to educational programs, we do workshops, we do support groups. We have support groups for people that are affected by the diagnosis, actually are diagnosed. We have support groups for the caregivers. We have children's support groups. We do a summer camp for the kids that are dealing with a cancer diagnosis. We do that every summer. It's a full week of activities for the children, and it really gives them an opportunity to realize that they're not alone either, that there are other children that are dealing with a diagnosis. And in addition to that, we have two really unique programs. One is called Living Life Post-Cancer Treatment. It's a 9-week workshop for people who've just come out of treatment. They should be out of treatment recent or within a year out of treatment. This workshop provides them an opportunity to deal with nutritional, emotional, educational needs related to long-term effects of a cancer diagnosis. So it's really it's medical, it's emotional, it's educational, it's nutrition. So it's 9 full weeks, and at the end of that 9-week session, these people have really bonded with each other. It's probably one of the most remarkable things I've witnessed being an executive director at the clubhouse is how these people really have become lifelong friends. It's amazing.
We're going to go to a break, but I want to get, after the break, I want to get into a little bit more of the details of how those people interact and what the impact is on them. You're listening to Westmoreland County Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. Our guests today are Carol Lennon and Eddy Confer, are both volunteers. Carol is the founding and retired executive director for Our Clubhouse, and these ladies both work very closely with Our Clubhouse Westmoreland, which is located on Route 30 in the Mountain View, Charter Oak area. Ladies, when we went to break, we were talking about the activities and the impact. Let's get a little bit more into the what is the interaction. You mentioned that you have student and children activities that maybe their mother or father is dealing with cancer. What is that activity, and how is it impacting those children?
Well, I think that for children who have a parent or a sibling that are dealing with a cancer diagnosis, it impacts children in different ways. And some children are able to express how they're feeling, and other children are not able to do that. And so what happens is that they have feelings of anxiety, sometimes guilt. They don't really know how to handle the situation in home. So when they come together and they're able to be with other children and they hear other stories about how other children are affected by the diagnosis, they begin to realize that they are not alone and that there are people that understand. And it is a place where they can come and be who they are. They can laugh, they can cry, they can find a way to deal with the situation they're dealing with and know that it's perfectly okay and they can be comfortable in our environment.
And what are the activities? I mean, that would be incredibly important for the children. What are some of the activities for the adults and the mother and the grandmother and all of those things? It's probably a different perspective for the adults. What are the activities that you host for the adults?
Well, we do a variety of activity for the adults, and also you can engage the children sometimes too with some of the adult activities, such as the drum circle. It's really a very popular activity where adults and children can come together and kind of share the experience of being in the drum circle. But arts and crafts, making jewelry, is one of the most popular things that we do at the clubhouse. People really like to be creative, and they really enjoy the opportunity to make something. And the kids really appreciate the chance to make something for that parent or for their sibling, but something that they'll be able to treasure for years to come. So it's really it's a joyful experience, I think, for the kids to be able to run around the clubhouse, and it's pretty big. It's 13,000 square feet, so there's plenty of opportunity for them to go in the yoga room, let off some steam. Yeah. We have a dedicated children's area for the much younger children. They can go in the kitchen. They love to do cooking lessons. We have excellent volunteers that are dedicated to teaching children. They can get behind the sink, and they can help prepare the snacks for themselves and for their family members. It's really it's fun. It's just a really fun time. Eddy, you volunteered with the kids, so you know. Tell them about Halloween.
Yes, when I was working in Pittsburgh and a group of us from where I worked volunteered, I just was looking at these pictures the other day. It was just the most joyful time. Everybody just came together. Everybody dressed up. I mean, really dressed up, not just put a mask on. Witches, warlocks, you name it, they had it. It was just a fun experience. The kids, the adults, everybody just enjoying themselves. And if you walked in there and didn't know where you were, you wouldn't know that these are people, a lot of them, dealing with a devastating diagnosis. Everybody was just having a wonderful time. And that's what the clubhouse is. It's a place for people to go and just live and share and get away from cancer for a while.
Right.
And just enjoy life.
I can't imagine that all of the people that are listening to the show don't want to know how to get more information about our clubhouse. So where do they come into the actual facility? Do they jump online? How would they get a little bit more information?
Well, in Westmoreland County, what they can do is they can call 724-221-6182, or they can come to the clubhouse, which is open on Tuesdays and Thursdays in Greensburg right now from 12:30 to 8. So they can step inside to meet with the staff, fill out a very brief membership form, and begin participating at whatever level is comfortable for them.
Sometimes this is you're doing such fabulous work and important work to help cancer patients and the families that are struggling with this diagnosis. But one of the important things I always say: no margin, no mission, right? And how is our clubhouse funded? Do you host fundraisers? Is it an endowment? How is it funded?
Well, we are not government funded, so we receive no state or government funding at all. We depend on the generosity of the community. So a majority of our contributions come from individuals. We also receive some funding from foundations. We host fundraising events such as Goal Magazine will be hosting a fundraising event specifically for the Westmoreland Clubhouse later in September. We also are hosting a major fundraiser for the overall clubhouse in Pittsburgh called Over the Edge, where you rappel a 26-story building in downtown Pittsburgh, and that's early in September. So we do unique, interesting.
I think I'm busy that day.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to contribute, but I think I'm busy that day.
Yeah, I did it with
really
Eddy's husband.
Yeah, 26-story building, rappel.
Yeah, and I'm terrified of heights, but I figured if our members can deal with the cancer diagnosis and deal with those challenges, I can rappel off that building, but I barely made it off the building. So it was an extreme challenge, and I'm glad I did it, but I don't know that I would do it again. I would be happy to support somebody in the future. But so we do rely on donations. And right before I left the clubhouse in 2015, we began an endowment through the generosity of a major benefactor. So we have a current endowment that exceeds $1 million, which is really wonderful for an organization our size. So we financially are a very stable organization, but again, because everything that we do is free of charge to our members, we would never charge our members for social and emotional support. We really do continue to rely on the generosity of the community, and especially we are reaching out to Westmoreland County to help us sustain this Greensburg Clubhouse. We really want our community to embrace this endeavor and to help us find ways to financially sustain it well into the future.
Carol and Eddy, I would imagine one of the reasons or one of the ways to embrace as a community is that you need more volunteers. Any organization that is on the show or the not-for-profits, they always need volunteers. So how do you recruit volunteers? How would a volunteer engage with our clubhouse to lend their time and their expertise and their perspective to make sure that they are interacting and supporting our clubhouse?
Well, as I mentioned, everything that we do is free. So all of our activities are run by volunteers. For example, since we opened in 2006, yoga is one of our most popular activities. And we have had yoga instructors who've been with us volunteering their time faithfully once a week, sometimes twice a week. Without fail, they're there Whether it's 9 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you know that they're going to be there. They never let us down. So all of those activities are completely run by volunteers. So if you have a talent, you can make jewelry. If you have a special kind of creative talent that you'd like to share with us, we're interested. We're always looking for unique things to do for our members. We poll our members periodically to ask them what kinds of activities they're looking for. Then we reach out to the community to look for the volunteers. So please, if you feel like you can give your time and talent, no matter if it's once a month, once a week, once every other month, we need your help. We look forward to your help. Just call the number at 412-221-6182, and we'll certainly be back in touch with you and find a way to connect you with the clubhouse.
Or you can jump on the ourclubhouse.org, ourclubhouse.org, or call 724-221-6182. That's 724-221-6182. The office and the facility is open Tuesday and Thursday from 12:30 to 8 p.m. Ladies, I'm going to ask this question. If we're sitting here a year from now, celebrating what has been a great year for our clubhouse, in your role, what did you guys achieve? That's a tough question. But if we're here a year from now and our clubhouse had a great and successful year, what did you do?
First thing we would do is be open 5 days a week at least.
Okay.
That would be the first place to start. That means that our membership has grown significantly to the point that we would need to be offering many more activities. So that would be very exciting. I think it would be great that if the whole county, when you mentioned our clubhouse, knew what our clubhouse is. I think one of the things we're really working hard on right now is we have a group of volunteers, Eddy is among them, where we are spanning out into our various neighborhoods and making sure that pharmacies, churches, schools, doctors' offices, and others know what our clubhouse is and how to be in touch with us and how they can help us spread the word, because we don't have advertising dollars to do that. So that would be my dream, is to see it open, a lot more activities going on, maybe even having to move our space to someplace easier to find, which might be a lot of fun too. But Eddy, that's my dream. What's yours?
I have to agree, Carol. I was thinking the same thing. We want to expand the hours that we're open. We don't want more members in terms of these are people dealing with cancer,
right,
but we know they're out there and we want them to have this activity and have this opportunity. And of course, more volunteers. And in terms of volunteering, you don't have to have a special talent. You just come in and answer the phone. We volunteer to clean a couple times a month. I teach a little cardio class because I'm able. My husband is called bingo. It doesn't matter. You have something that you can offer, and we just want to see this grow. We want to see Tracy's dream grow, and we want her dream of everybody getting the social and emotional support that she received. We want that to be available here for people dealing with this devastating disease.
Carol, give me a significant impact that somebody has made for fundraising.
Well, the major impact in Westmoreland County was receiving funds through the Latrobe Hospital Charitable Foundation in the name of Nancy Hoffman, who was a nurse, an amazing woman from the Latrobe area who was very involved in the Latrobe Auxiliary, who passed away of cancer in 2001. And her friends really understood that Nancy was looking for a place to get alternative therapies for cancer, alternative modalities like yoga and Tai Chi. So when they heard that we were coming to Westmoreland County, we worked together and partnered with one another, and Latrobe Hospital Charitable Foundation released the remaining funds that allowed us to really open Our Clubhouse Westmoreland and operate it for the first year. So it was a really major, significant, and wonderful impact for our community.
Wow, what a contribution! I'm sure you tip your cap to people like that all the time. Well,
We do.
I think that needs to be a thank you.
We do. Thank you.
Well, ladies, thank you very much for being on Westmoreland Community Connections. We are going to help to try to make sure that we're getting the word out there that the impact that you are having on Westmoreland County and our region. You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We've been talking with Our Clubhouse Westmoreland, Carol Lennon, and Eddy Confer. Ladies, thank you very much for the work you're doing to support everyone currently living with cancer, men, women, teens, children, along with their families and friends. ourclubhouse.org if you want to jump onto the website, ourclubhouse.org. If you want to call the office, it's 724-221-6182. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Chad.
You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.